Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the stars through the large window. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't care. Today was the day that would change everything for humanity. "Admiral, we have movement on the sensors," Captain Lisa Grant called out from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "The Draconian fleet is entering our solar system." Jake walked over to the main display screen. 300 massive alien warships appeared as red dots on the map. Each ship was 3 times larger than anything humans had ever built. The Draconians were known across the galaxy as the strongest military force. They had conquered 17 different alien species over the past 1,000 years. "How long until they reach Earth?" Jake asked. "At their current speed, about 6 hours," Lisa replied. She pressed some buttons on her control panel. "Admiral, there's something else. We're getting a message from their lead ship." The main screen changed to show a terrifying alien face. The creature looked like a giant lizard with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth. Scars covered its dark green skin, telling stories of many battles. This was War Marshal Vexthor, commander of the Draconian war fleet. "Humans of Earth," the alien spoke in a deep, threatening voice. "I am War Marshal Vexthor. Your species has been found guilty of refusing to follow Draconian law. You have 12 hours to surrender all rights to your asteroid belt mining operations. If you refuse, we will destroy your planet and everyone on it." The message ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Jake's crew looked at him, waiting for orders. They all knew that humanity's small defense fleet couldn't fight against 300 Draconian warships. Earth's technology was considered primitive by galactic standards. Jake touched a button on his chair. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command." Within seconds, President Carl Hayes appeared on a smaller screen. The president looked tired and worried. Behind him, Jake could see other government officials running around in panic. "Admiral Morrison," the president said, "I assume you've seen their demands?" "Yes, sir." "What are our orders?" President Hayes was quiet for a moment. "We're calling an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. Director Amy Foster from Human Intelligence wants to discuss something called Protocol Omega." Jake had never heard of Protocol Omega before. He had been in the military for 25 years and thought he knew about all of humanity's secret plans. "Sir, what is Protocol Omega?" "I don't know yet, Admiral. But Director Foster says it's our only option." The president paused and looked directly at Jake. "How long can you keep our fleet ready for battle?" "As long as needed, sir." "But against 300 Draconian ship..." Jake didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew what would happen. "Just hold your position, Admiral. We'll contact you soon." The connection ended. Jake turned to his crew. "You heard the president. We stay here and wait for orders." Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker, the ship's security chief, stepped forward. "Admiral, shouldn't we start moving people away from Earth?" "If we can't fight them..." "No," Jake said firmly. "We follow orders. Earth Command knows what they're doing." But Jake wasn't sure if that was true. How could Earth Command have a plan against the most powerful military force in the galaxy? 2 hours later, Jake received another call from Earth. This time it was Director Amy Foster from Human Intelligence. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Jake had met her only once before at a security briefing 5 years ago. "Admiral Morrison," she said, "I'm sending you new orders. They are classified at the highest level. You are not to discuss them with anyone except Captain Grant." "Understood, Director. In 4 hours you will receive a coded message. When you get that message, you will move your fleet to position Alpha 7 and wait for further instructions." Jake frowned. Position Alpha 7 was far away from Earth, near the edge of the solar system. "Director, that position won't let us protect Earth from the Draconian attack." Director Foster smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Admiral, trust me. Earth doesn't need protection. The Draconians do." Before Jake could ask what she meant, the connection ended. He stared at the blank screen, confused. What could she possibly mean? Captain Grant walked over to him. "Admiral, what was that about?" Jake told her about the orders. Lisa looked as confused as Jake felt. "Sir, I don't understand. How can the Draconians need protection from us? Our entire fleet has only 40 ships. They have 300. "I don't know, Lisa, but we follow orders." 3 hours passed slowly. The Draconian fleet moved closer to Earth. War Marshal Vexthor sent another message reminding everyone that Earth had only 9 hours left to surrender. Finally, Jake's communication system beeped. A coded message appeared on his personal screen. Jake read it carefully, then read it again. His face went pale. Lisa, order all ships to move to position Alpha 7 immediately. Sir, are you sure? That will leave Earth defenseless. Jake looked at her with an expression she had never seen before. It was a mix of fear and excitement. Lisa, I think we've been lied to for 50 years. About everything. As the human fleet moved away from Earth, Jake couldn't stop thinking about Director Foster's words. The Draconians need protection. From what? From whom? On Earth, President Hayes sat in the war room with his top advisors. Director Foster stood at the front of the room, her hands behind her back. Ladies and gentlemen, she said calmly, for 50 years, humanity has been playing a very dangerous game. Today that game ends. She pressed a button on the wall. A large screen showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked every location where Draconian forces were stationed. The Draconians think they're hunting sheep, Director Foster continued. They're about to learn that they've walked into a wolf's den. President Hayes leaned forward. Director, what exactly is Protocol Omega? Director Foster's smile grew wider. Mr. President, Protocol Omega is the day humanity stops pretending to be weak. War Marshal Vexthor stood in the command center of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. Around him, dozens of Draconian officers worked at their stations. The bridge was dark and filled with the sound of alien technology humming. Report, Vexthor demanded in his native language. War Marshal, the human fleet has moved away from their planet. His second-in-command replied. They are retreating to the outer system. Vexthor laughed, showing his sharp teeth. Cowards. They know they cannot fight us, so they run like frightened animals. The War Marshal had been fighting wars for over 200 years. He had seen many species surrender before the might of the Draconian Empire. Humans would be no different. They were young, weak, and had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years. Begin the attack, Vexthor ordered. Target their major cities first. When they see their homes burning, they will surrender quickly. The massive Draconian warships moved into attack formation. Each ship was over 2 miles long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The fleet had never lost a battle. Weapons charged and ready. War Marshal, the weapons officer reported. Fire. Bright. Beams of plasma energy shot out from the Draconian ships toward Earth. The beams were hot, enough to melt steel and powerful enough to level entire cities. But something strange happened. The plasma beams simply disappeared. What? Vexthor roared. Where did our weapons fire go? The weapons officer checked his instruments frantically. Sir, the beams just vanished. Our sensors show they never reached the planet. Impossible. Fire again. More plasma beams shot toward Earth. Again they disappeared completely. It was as if they had hit an invisible wall and been absorbed. War Marshal, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a message from the human planet. Put it on screen. A human woman appeared on the main display. She was sitting calmly in what looked like an office on Earth. Behind her, large windows showed a peaceful blue sky. Greetings, War Marshal Vexthor, the woman said politely. My name is Director Amy Foster. I represent Earth's government. Human female, Vexthor snarled. Your weapons cannot protect you forever. Surrender now or we will find another way to destroy you. Director Foster smiled. War Marshal, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're not trying to protect ourselves from you. What do you mean? We're trying to protect you from us. Before Vexthor could respond, something impossible began to happen. The ship next to his flagship, the Iron Fang, started to fade away. It became transparent like a ghost and then vanished completely. What is happening? Vexthor shouted. His officers were panicking. All around them, Draconian warships were disappearing one by one. Not exploding, not retreating, simply vanishing from existence. Sir, the Stormbringer is gone, one officer reported. The Death's Head has vanished too, called another. War Marshal, half our fleet has disappeared. Vexthor watched in horror as his mighty war fleet melted away like snow in the sun. Ships that had conquered worlds were vanishing without a trace. His sensors couldn't detect them anywhere. How is this possible? He whispered. On the communication screen, Director Foster was still smiling calmly. War Marshal, your ships are safe. They haven't been destroyed. They've simply been moved to a place where they can't hurt anyone. Where? Where have you taken them? Somewhere else. Let's just leave it at that. Communications Officer Ben Clark sat at his station aboard the UES Liberty, listening to radio signals from across the galaxy. His job was to monitor alien communications, but what he was hearing today was unlike anything before. "Admiral Morrison," Ben called out. "You need to hear this." Admiral Jake Morrison and Captain Lisa Grant walked over to Ben's station. The young officer's face was pale with shock. "What is it, Ben?" Jake asked. "Sir, I'm picking up emergency broadcasts from all over the galaxy. Draconian forces are disappearing everywhere." Ben played the recordings. Voices in different alien languages filled the bridge, all saying the same thing in panic. Draconian fleets were vanishing from star systems across the galaxy. "How many?" Lisa asked. "From what I can understand, sir, it's happening everywhere the Draconians have military forces. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever was happening wasn't just about Earth, it was much bigger. His communication system beeped. "Admiral Morrison," came Director Foster's voice. "Please prepare your fleet for immediate departure to the Draconian home system." "Director, what's happening out there?" "We're sending a message, Admiral. The Draconians need to understand that humanity is no longer willing to be threatened. But, Director, our ships aren't equipped for an invasion of their home system. We don't have the firepower." Director Foster's laugh was cold. "Admiral, you still don't understand. Your ships were never meant for firepower. They're meant for something much more important." "What?" "Transportation. You're not going there to fight, Admiral. You're going there to collect our people." "What people?" "The people who have been living among the Draconians for the past 15 years, gathering information and waiting for this day." Jake felt the ground shift under his feet. "Director, are you saying we have spies in the Draconian Empire?" "Not just spies, Admiral. We have people in every major alien civilization in the galaxy. They've been there since first contact, learning everything about our potential enemies." On his ship, War Marshal Vexthor watched as the last of his war fleet disappeared. Only his flagship remained, alone in space near Earth. "War Marshal," his communications officer said quietly. "We're receiving another message from the humans." Director Foster appeared on screen again. "War Marshal, your fleet is safe but contained. They will remain where they are until the Draconian Empire agrees to peaceful relations with humanity." "You cannot do this," Vexthor roared. "The Empire will not stand for this insult." "War Marshal, the Empire is in no position to make demands. Right now, Draconian forces across the galaxy are discovering what happens when you threaten Earth's children." "What are you?" Director Foster's expression became serious. "We are human, War Marshal, and humans protect their own." The communication ended, leaving Vexthor alone on his bridge with his terrified crew. For the first time in his long military career, the War Marshal felt true fear. Somewhere in the darkness of space, Admiral Morrison's fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace. Their destination, the heart of the Draconian Empire. But they weren't going as conquerors. They were going as collectors, gathering up the hidden pieces of humanity's greatest secret. 50 years earlier, Dr. Helen Ross stood in a secret laboratory deep underground beneath the Rocky Mountains. The lab was filled with the most advanced technology Earth had ever created. But none of the alien visitors to Earth knew it existed. "Are you sure about this plan, Helen?" asked General Robert Kane, head of Earth's military forces. "If the aliens discover what we're really capable of, they might attack us immediately." Dr. Ross adjusted her glasses and looked at the holographic display showing Earth's real technology. Ships that could bend space and time, weapons that could destroy entire solar systems, biological enhancements that made humans stronger than most alien species. "Robert, that's exactly why we have to hide it," she said. "We've been studying the signals from space for months. The galaxy is full of species that destroy anyone they see as a threat. If they know how advanced we really are, they'll try to wipe us out before we become too powerful. But Helen, we could defend ourselves. Our weapons are more advanced than anything we've detected from the alien signals." Dr. Ross shook her head. "It's not about winning one battle, Robert. It's about survival. If we show our strength too early, every alien species in the galaxy will unite against us. But if we appear weak and harmless, they'll ignore us while we learn everything about them." The general wasn't convinced. "So you want us to pretend to be primitive?" "Not primitive, just younger than we really are. We'll show them technology that's advanced enough to be useful, but not so advanced that they see us as a threat." Dr. Ross pressed a button, and the holographic display changed. Now it showed much simpler ships, the ones that would become humanity's official space fleet. "We'll give them what they expect to see, a young species that's just learning to travel between stars. Meanwhile, our real technology will stay hidden. General Kane sighed. And what about our people? We can't keep this secret from everyone. We won't have to. We'll create two programs. The public space program that everyone knows about, and the shadow program that only a few people will know about. The shadow program? Dr. Ross smiled. We're going to send our best people out into the galaxy, Robert. They'll live among the aliens, learn their languages, study their weaknesses, and report back to Earth. When the day comes that someone threatens us, we'll be ready. You're talking about spies. I'm talking about survival. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and humanity needs to be prepared for anything. In the present day, Agent Rachel Stone walked through the busy streets of Dracos Prime, the capital city of the Draconian Empire. To anyone watching, she looked like a normal Draconian citizen. Her skin was green and scaly, her eyes glowed red, and she had sharp teeth. But it was all an illusion created by advanced human technology. Rachel had been living on Dracos Prime for 15 years. She spoke the Draconian language perfectly, knew their customs, and had even married a Draconian male to maintain her cover. Her husband thought she was a government worker from a distant planet in the Empire. But today was different. Today, Rachel received the signal she had been waiting for her entire adult life. A simple message hidden in what looked like a normal news broadcast: the shepherd calls his flock home. Rachel made her way to her apartment and activated a hidden communication device. Within seconds, she was connected to other human agents across the Draconian Empire. This is Stone. I confirm receipt of the recall signal, she said quietly. Agent Parker here. Signal confirmed. Beginning extraction procedures now. Agent Davis reporting in. Ready for pickup. Agent Lopez confirming. The safe house is prepared. Rachel looked around her apartment one last time. She had lived here for so long that it almost felt like home. But home was Earth, and it was time to go back. She activated another device, and her draconian appearance began to fade away. Her green skin returned to its natural human color. Her red eyes became brown. Her sharp teeth became normal. For the first time in 15 years, Rachel Stone looked like herself again. Outside her window, she could see chaos in the streets. News of the vanishing Draconian fleet had reached the home planet. Citizens were panicking, and government officials were running around trying to understand what had happened to their mighty military. Rachel smiled. She had helped make this moment possible. For years, she had been sending information back to Earth about Draconian military technology, battle plans, and weaknesses. She wasn't the only one. Human agents were embedded throughout the galaxy, all working toward this day. On Earth, Director Amy Foster stood in the command center of the Shadow program. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored communications from across the galaxy. Giant screens showed the locations of every human agent in alien space. Director, called Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker, head of the Ghost Division. We're receiving confirmation signals from all our embedded agents. They're ready for extraction. How many agents are we bringing home, Steve? 237 from Draconian space alone. Another 400 from other alien civilizations. Director Foster nodded. And they all have the information we need? Yes, ma'am. Detailed intelligence on military capabilities, government structures, technology, and cultural weaknesses for every major species in the galaxy. Director Foster walked over to a large display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked human agents. Blue dots marked alien military forces. Green dots marked human ships moving to extraction points. 50 years of preparation, she said quietly. 50 years of our people living double lives, sacrificing their real identities to protect Earth. Was it worth it, Director? Director Foster thought about all the human agents who had spent decades pretending to be aliens. They had missed family gatherings, couldn't contact their loved ones, and lived every day knowing that discovery meant death. Ask me that question when all our people are safely home. Steve. Colonel Mike Turner led the extraction team that landed on Dracos Prime. His ship looked like a normal Draconian transport vessel, but it was actually one of humanity's advanced stealth craft. The technology that made it invisible to Draconian sensors was the same technology that had been used to make their war fleet disappear. Mike and his team moved through the city quickly. They had memorized the locations of every human agent and the fastest routes to reach them. Alpha Team to base, Mike whispered into his communicator. We've reached the first extraction point. Copy, Alpha Team. Agent Stone should be waiting for you. Mike found Rachel in her apartment already packed and ready to go. When she saw him, tears filled her eyes. "Colonel Turner," she said, "I never thought this day would come." "Welcome home, Agent Stone. Ready to see Earth again?" Rachel nodded, unable to speak. After 15 years of pretending to be someone else, she was finally going home. As Mike's team moved through the city, collecting human agents from their hiding places, Rachel thought about all the information she had gathered: the Draconians' military command structure, their technology weaknesses, their political divisions, their fears. All of it would help Earth understand how to deal with the Draconian Empire, but more importantly, it would help prevent a war that could destroy both civilizations. "Colonel," Rachel said as they reached the extraction ship, "what happens to the Draconian fleet? The ships that disappeared?" Mike smiled. "They're safe, Agent Stone. Humanity doesn't want to destroy other species. We just want to make sure they can't destroy us." As the extraction ship lifted off from Draco's Prime, Rachel looked down at the city where she had lived for so long. She felt sad to leave, but excited to go home. Below them, the Draconian government was discovering that many of their most trusted citizens had been humans in disguise. The revelation would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. And across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out as humanity's hidden children came home at last. Admiral Jake Morrison's fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Draconian home system. But these weren't the same ships that had left Earth's solar system. As soon as they were far enough from alien sensors, the human vessels had revealed their true forms. Gone were the bulky, primitive-looking ships that other species knew. In their place were sleek vessels that seemed to shimmer in and out of reality. They moved without making any sound and left no energy signature that alien sensors could detect. "This is incredible," Captain Lisa Grant whispered as she looked at the new control systems that had appeared on her ship. "Admiral, how long have these ships been capable of this?" Jake was still getting used to the advanced technology himself. "According to the technical briefing I just received, these modifications have been built into every human ship for the past 30 years. We just never activated them before." The UES Liberty, now revealed as the stealth ship HSV Liberty, moved toward Draco's Prime like a ghost. Around it, the other ships in the fleet did the same. They were invisible to Draconian sensors and could pass through the Empire's defenses without being detected. "Admiral," called Communications Officer Ben Clark, "I'm receiving signals from our extraction teams. They've successfully retrieved 47 agents from the capital city alone. Any problems?" "No, sir. The Draconian authorities are too busy trying to figure out what happened to their military to notice a few missing citizens." Jake nodded. "Good. How many more agents do we need to collect?" 190 from this system, sir. But they're spread across 12 different planets. Then we'd better get moving." As the human fleet split up to visit different worlds, Jake thought about everything he had learned in the past few hours. Humanity had been preparing for this day since first contact with alien species. Every major decision, every treaty, every diplomatic agreement had been part of a larger plan to protect Earth. The first stop was Draco 7, a mining world where Agent Kevin Walsh had been working as a geological surveyor for 12 years. The extraction team found him easily. He had been waiting at the designated pickup point since receiving the recall signal. "Agent Walsh," Colonel Mike Turner said as Kevin climbed aboard the stealth ship. "Good to see you." Kevin removed the device that had been making him look like a Draconian for over a decade. His human features returned slowly and he smiled for the first time in years. "Colonel, I have so much information to share with Earth Command. The Draconians have been developing new weapons technology that Command needs to know about." "All in good time. Agent, right now let's focus on getting everyone home safely." But Kevin wasn't the only one with important information. On Dracos 3, Agent Maria Santos had spent 10 years working in the Draconian government's intelligence division. She knew about every secret military project and every political weakness in the Empire. On Dracos 9, Agent Danny Chen had been monitoring Draconian communications for 8 years. He had copies of every important message that had passed through the Empire's networks. And on Draco's Prime, Agent Rachel Stone had been married to a high-ranking Draconian official. Through him, she had access to the Empire's most sensitive political and military secrets. One by one, the human agents were collected and brought aboard the stealth ships. Each one carried years of intelligence that would help Earth understand the galaxy better. But the extraction wasn't without problems. On Dracos 5, Agent Tony Rivera had been discovered by Draconian security forces just hours before the pickup. He was being held in a prison facility when Colonel Turner's team arrived. "Colonel, this is going to be difficult," reported Sergeant Julia Hayes, the team's technical expert. "The prison is heavily guarded, and Agent Rivera is being held in the maximum security section." Mike looked at the prison through his binoculars. It was a massive structure with energy barriers and dozens of guards. "We can't leave him behind," Mike said. "Sergeant Hayes, can you disable their security systems?" "Sir, I can do better than that. I can make the entire building disappear for about 10 minutes. Mike stared at her. "What do you mean, disappear?" Julia smiled and activated a device that looked like a small remote control. "Same technology that made the Draconian fleet vanish, sir. Just on a smaller scale." She pressed a button and the prison building simply faded away. For a moment, Mike could see through it like it was made of glass. Then it became completely invisible. "The building is still there," Julia explained, "but it's been shifted slightly out of normal space-time. The guards inside can't see out, and no one outside can see in. We have about 10 minutes before the effect wears off." Mike's team moved quickly. They found Tony Rivera in his cell, confused but unharmed. Within 8 minutes, they were back at their ship with the rescued agent. As they lifted off, the prison building slowly became visible again. The guards inside would be very confused about how their prisoner had escaped from a locked cell. "Agent Rivera," Mike said as Tony's disguise faded away, "welcome back to humanity." Tony looked around at his rescuers with tears in his eyes. "I thought I was going to die in that place. Thank you. Just doing our job. Now let's go home." Similar rescues were happening across the Draconian Empire. Human agents who had been living in hiding for years were finally coming home. Some had been discovered and needed dramatic rescues. Others simply walked away from their fake lives and met their pickup teams. But the most important rescue was happening on Dracos Prime itself. Agent Rachel Stone had more valuable information than anyone else. But she was also in the most danger. Her Draconian husband, war leader Kethmar, had become suspicious when she started acting strangely after the fleet disappeared. He was beginning to ask questions that she couldn't answer. "Rachel," he said as she prepared to leave their apartment for the last time, "where are you going? The government has ordered all citizens to stay in their homes until this crisis is resolved." Rachel looked at the alien who had been her husband for 8 years. In some ways, she had grown to care for him. He was kind and intelligent, even if he was an enemy of humanity. "I have to go to work, Kethmar. The Geological Survey Office needs all hands to help during the emergency." But Kethmar wasn't convinced. "Rachel, something is wrong. You've been acting strange ever since the fleet vanished, and there are reports of citizens disappearing across the Empire." Rachel knew her cover was blown. She touched a hidden button on her clothes, sending an emergency signal to her extraction team. "Kethmar," she said sadly, "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." Before he could respond, Rachel activated the device that hid her human appearance. Her green skin faded, her red eyes turned brown, and her sharp teeth became normal. Kethmar stepped back in shock. What are you?" "I'm human, Kethmar. I've always been human. But that's impossible. Humans are primitive. They don't have the technology to create such perfect disguises." Rachel heard the sound of human aircraft outside the window. Her rescue team had arrived. "Kethmar, humans aren't what you think we are. We never were." The door to the apartment exploded inward as Colonel Turner's team burst in. They moved quickly, surrounding the shocked Draconian. "Agent Stone," Mike called out. "Time to go." Rachel looked at Kethmar one last time. "I'm sorry," she said again. Then she turned and ran toward the extraction team. As they reached their aircraft, Kethmar shouted after them. "Rachel, what are humans really?" "What are you?" But she was already gone, flying away toward the human fleet that waited in orbit. Behind her, the Draconian Empire was learning a hard truth about the galaxy. Humanity had been among them for decades, watching, learning, and preparing. And now that preparation was about to change everything. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the massive hall, all talking at once. Fear and confusion filled the air as each species tried to understand what had happened to the mighty Draconian Empire. Ambassador Kate, Wells walked calmly through the center of the chamber toward the speaking platform. For 50 years, she had been humanity's voice in the Galactic Council. But she had always spoken as a representative of a young, weak species asking for help and guidance. Today was different. Today she would speak with humanity's true voice for the first time. "Order! Order!" called the council chairman, a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "The emergency session will now begin. We are here to discuss the disappearance of Draconian military forces across the galaxy." The chamber slowly became quiet as all eyes turned to Ambassador Wells. She stood at the center of the room, calm and confident. Her appearance hadn't changed, but something about her presence was different. She no longer looked like someone asking for permission to speak. "Honored representatives," Kate began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I know you all have many questions about recent events. I am here to provide answers." "Ambassador Wells," interrupted the Zentari representative, a creature that looked like a giant insect. "What does humanity know about the Draconian disappearances?" "Your species was the target of their attack," Kate smiled. "We know everything about it, Representative Ziktar. Because humanity is responsible for it." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Representatives from dozens of species began shouting questions all at once. The chairman banged his gavel repeatedly, trying to restore order. "That's impossible," shouted the Carillion ambassador. "A floating jellyfish-like creature? Humans don't have the technology to make entire fleets disappear." "You're right," Kate replied calmly. "Humans don't have that technology, but humanity does." The distinction was lost on most of the aliens, but a few of the more intelligent species began to understand. The Vulani representative, a wise old creature with large eyes, leaned forward in her seat. "Ambassador Wells," the Vulani said slowly, "are you saying that humanity has been hiding its true capabilities?" "I'm saying that humanity has been protecting itself in the only way possible, in a galaxy full of predator species. By appearing to be prey." Kate pressed a button on her podium and the chamber's main display screen activated. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of red dots marking locations. "For 50 years, humans have been living among you, in your cities, in your governments, in your military forces, learning your languages, studying your cultures, and understanding your weaknesses." The red dots began blinking, showing the locations of human agents across dozens of different alien civilizations. "Every major decision your species have made, every technological advancement, every military strategy, we have been watching and learning from all of it." The chamber was completely silent now. The implications of what Kate was saying were beginning to sink in. The Draconian representative, War General Hector, stood up slowly. He was Vexthor's younger brother and had been sent to speak for the Empire after the fleet's disappearance. "You lie," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "Humans are weak. Humans are primitive. You could not have infiltrated our empire." Kate looked directly at him. "War General, your wife Sekra has been sending us intelligence reports for the past 12 years. Hector's face went pale. That's impossible. Sekra is Draconian. I've known her since we were children. You've known the person she was pretending to be. The real Sekra was born in Denver, Colorado, and her human name is Sarah Kim." The war general collapsed into his seat, staring at Kate in horror. Around the chamber, other representatives were beginning to understand that their own governments might be compromised. "How many?" asked the Vulani representative quietly. "How many of our people are actually human?" Kate looked around the chamber. "Enough. In every major civilization, humans hold important positions in government, military, and intelligence organizations. We have been preparing for this day since we first learned that the galaxy was a dangerous place." "Preparing for what?" demanded the Zentari representative. "Preparing to defend ourselves. The Draconians are not the first species to threaten humanity, and they won't be the last. But they are the first to learn what happens when you try to destroy Earth's children." President Carl Hayes stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the Galactic Council session on a secure video feed. Around him sat the leaders of Earth's government and military. "She's doing well," said Director Amy Foster. "The aliens are starting to understand that they've been underestimating us." "What about the Draconian fleet?" asked General Kane. "When do we release them?" Director Foster checked her tablet. "As soon as their government agrees to peaceful relations and withdraws all claims on human territory. Until then, they stay in dimensional storage." "And if they refuse?" Director Foster's expression became cold. Then they stay there permanently. We're not interested in conquest, General, but we will not tolerate threats to humanity. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador Wells was answering questions from increasingly nervous alien representatives. Ambassador, asked the Carillion representative, what does humanity want? Are you planning to conquer the galaxy? Kate shook her head. Humanity has no interest in ruling other species. We want the same thing we've always wanted, to live in peace and explore the universe. But we will no longer pretend to be defenseless. And our governments? Asked the Volani representative. The humans who have been living among us? They will be given a choice. They can return to Earth, or they can remain in their adopted homes and reveal their true identities. But the age of secrets is over. What if we demand that all humans leave our territories? Demanded the Zentari representative. Kate's expression became serious. Representative Ziktar, that would be unwise. The humans in your society have been protecting you as much as they've been watching you. They've prevented wars, stopped disasters, and guided your development in positive directions. Removing them would not be in your best interests. You're saying you've been controlling us, the Zentari accused. I'm saying we've been helping you. There are many species in this galaxy that would have destroyed you long ago if humanity hadn't been working behind the scenes to maintain the balance of power. Around the chamber, representatives began talking quietly among themselves. The galaxy they thought they knew was disappearing, being replaced by something much more complex and dangerous. War General Hector stood up again. What about our fleet? What about War Marshal Vexthor? Your brother and his fleet are safe, Kate replied. They are being held in a secure location until the Draconian Empire agrees to peaceful relations with humanity. And if we refuse? Kate's smile was cold but not cruel. Then you'll learn that 300 ships was only a small part of your military. We know the location of every Draconian base, every ship, and every weapons facility in your empire. Choose carefully. The war general sat down heavily. Around the chamber, other representatives were beginning to understand the new reality of the galaxy. Humanity was no longer the weak young species asking for protection. They were the hidden power that had been shaping galactic civilization for 50 years. What happens now? Asked the Volani representative. Kate looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at her. Now we build a better galaxy, one where species don't threaten each other with extinction. One where cooperation is rewarded and aggression is discouraged. And if species refuse to cooperate? Kate's expression became very serious. Then they'll discover what the Draconians learned today. Humanity protects its own, and Earth has many children scattered across the stars. The session ended with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear to everyone present. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently. As Kate Wells left the chamber, she thought about all the human agents who had sacrificed years of their lives to make this moment possible. They had pretended to be aliens, lived double lives, and never seen their real families, all to protect Earth. Now, for the first time in 50 years, humanity could be honest about what it really was. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but protectors who would do anything to keep their species safe. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had been planning for all along.